So we're in Vegas with Indian Motorcycles. We're out in the, well, as you can see, in the desert essentially. So I've got the Challenger and the Chieftain with the new 112 engine. So everybody's just piling up behind us. We're just taking a little coffee stop. So it's all about the engine really. It's all about big performance, big technology as well. So we've got a lot of new tech, a lot of new rider aids. Something you not normally associate with cruisers, but we've got lean sensitive traction, lean sensitive ABS, collision warning, blind spot detection, 6-axis IMU. It's almost got like sports bike levels of tech in there. So yeah, pretty interesting, pretty cool. And then the engine's gone up in capacity, so that's gone up quite a lot. The stroke is the same, but the bore's gone up essentially. And yeah, we're just enjoying some desert riding. Welcome to Bike World, welcome to Vegas. So Vegas is over there somewhere. This is the new Indian Challenger. So the Challenger we've seen before, the Challenger was water cooled, but now it's got the big engine, so we've gone up in capacity, which is giving us more power, which is giving us more torque. And then in terms of technology on the Challenger, we've gone up as well. So we've got a 6-axis IMU with lean sensitive traction control, 3 power modes, cornering ABS, we've got a rear warning detection, so blind spot detection, rear collision warning, because we've got a radar on the back. As you'd expect, big stereo. That's the collision warning, just highlighting there because Carl's getting a bit close. Cruise control, Bluetooth to neck. I got the screen fully up, and then we got the Chieftain to ride, which has got the new engine, because the Chieftain was air cooled, that's now water cooled, and that's a completely new bike, so I'm going to be jumping on that shortly. There's a lot going on, and when I jumped on the bike, what, 40 minutes ago, it was a little bit daunting, but there's so many little shortcuts on the dash that just make it so much easier. This is all touchscreen, so at the moment I've got like half sat nav and then half with my range, my PSI. Look at the road. Really stable. And then obviously I could go into more details. I could turn off the blind spot detection, the tailgate warning. It's got hill control if I want to turn that off. And then press this again. Where I've gone and my distance. Sat nav, I can go full sat nav. I can go into this one. That's my rain, my standard and my sport. And I can change the settings. I can get my Bluetooth connectivity, get my radio. I've just got this local radio station at the moment. So, switch your bike. Now we're on the Chieftain Bagger. Same tech, same rider aids, same new engine, but obviously the previous model to this was the air cooled and now we're water cooled with the new big block engine with more power. But the biggest difference between the previous bike that you'll notice is like the bodywork is now on the handlebars and you've got a lot less space, well, more space here, because the top fairing is smaller, but you've still got the great interactive dash. that we've had before. Same buttons, same stereo. The speedos are in a slightly different spot, and the finish is a little bit different. The bars feel a bit wider actually. They're not exactly the same as on the Challenger. And then overall weight is going to be different. It'd be interesting to see if with the steering, because it should be, well, on paper it's lighter, but then you've got weight on the bars because you've got the whole fairing is mounted to the bars rather than mounted to the bodywork. Oh, it's beautiful up here. So it's kind of just a style thing in many ways, whether you go for the Challenger or the Chieftain Bagger. I was chatting to the guys at Indian, and they were like, there's a real kind of split, like guys who like the bodywork onto the chassis never consider one of these, and vice versa. It's like a Man United, Man City kind of thing. The one doesn't support the other. They're not, you don't jump from one to the other. If you're that way inclined and you like the mounted bodywork, then you stay with the mounted bodywork. One of the great bits about working for Bike World is we get to ride all types of bikes, and we all get enthusiastic about different bikes, whether that's Chris riding adventure bikes, or me on sports bikes, or even me and Al riding our old air-cooled Ducatis. And what I love is that we get the opportunity to ride bikes like this. That's what I love about motorcycling, and there's a bike for kind of every occasion. There's times when you want to go fast on track, there's times when you want to go off-road, there's times when you want to ride classic bikes. And there's times when you're in places like this that you want to ride a bike like that. And that bike has made me smile all day long. So it's the first time we've actually got like a lot of undulation and bumps, just to see what the, you know, they're deliberately accelerated in the troughs. And it's coping really well actually. Even a little wheelie. Belt driven. I hope it's strong. So let me introduce you to the new latest bike from Indian, which is the new 122 Power Plus. This is the new Chieftain. So this runs the new 122 capacity engine. So basically what that means is we've gone up from 1768cc to 1843cc. That is 126 horsepower with a red line at over 6,000 RPM on 133 foot-pound of torque. Now we've kind of already seen this engine a little bit in other models, but it's the first time we've seen it in the Chieftain. This engine is essentially the engine that has been tuned highly, obviously, but raced in the Bagger Series in America and won Indian 3 consecutive championships in a row. So when I rode the race bike, which was in Anglesey, which was the bike that McWilliams had won Daytona on, I was so impressed by what they'd done to transform a cruiser into a race bike that was capable of lapping within like 5 or 6 seconds of an AMA bike. And now it's so interesting to see that that engine, albeit the stock motor, is now in this chassis. We ride Ducatis and we ride BMWs and say they've got MotoGP derived technology or World Superbike derived technology. But this has got pedigree racing history derived technology. It's interesting to see what they've done with the engine and how much power it makes, and it's way above the competition. But it's not all about the power. For the first time, this has got a 6-axis IMU. So we've got lean sensitive ABS, we've got lean sensitive traction control, we've got 3 rider modes that are easily accessible, we've got cruise control, we've even got a rear radar detector. So on the back, that rear radar is for a collision warning and blind spot detection. We've got a touch screen dash that is simple and easy to use. There's a lot of technology in this cruiser. I wasn't expecting a cruiser to have lean sensitive ABS and massive Brembo radial calipers and cornering traction control and enough ground clearance to have fun, and a chassis that can really cope with this bike. We started the ride off today just outside Vegas, and we've come out here to the desert. We've got like the Hoover Dam over that way, and we've done a good ride at a good pace. And when I speak to the guys, they're used to doing 200, 300, 400 miles in a day. Some of them are doing 800, 900 miles in a day. And the comfort, I can see why, because it is so comfortable. It's one of the comfiest bikes I've ever ridden. But that doesn't mean it's some wallowing, sloppy, ill-handling mess like some busted sofa. It handles surprisingly well. The ground clearance is way better than I thought it would be. You've got to ride it reasonably aggressive to start dragging the footboards. And even when you do, that's the limitation, not the handling. And when you ride it fast, here that we've had the opportunity to do on some closed road,
It's stable, it's predictable. When you jump on those big Brembo brakes, they're strong. This is not a cruiser that I thought it would be and what I imagined it to be. As I say, the joys of Bike World is that we get to ride bikes like this, and I think there's a lot of people, if they had the opportunity to ride this bike, would enjoy it, especially in this environment that we've been riding in today. There's been moments where I wouldn't want to be on any other bike. There's moments where I think if me and Chris got a couple of these bikes together out here, we would just have so much fun. I think it's been a while since I've rode a cruiser, and my memories of cruisers of 5 and 10 years ago were bikes that didn't stop that well, didn't have that much power, and ground clearance was very limited. But this has got some serious grunt, it's got some serious power. Switch off the traction control, which you can do on the move, and it'll light up the tyre in the first few 2 gears. It's got really strong drive, although top speed is limited to around about 107, because it pulls really strongly to about 105, and then you can feel that limitation. So it'd be interesting to see what it would do with that limiter off. But on this occasion, in this environment, in this weather, in this area, to ride that bike has been hugely enjoyable. Indian have really stepped up the market when it comes to building a cruiser. I think they've really set a precedent, and I think it'll have the competition worried. To be honest, it's been a while since I've rode the competition, which is from Harley Davidson, which is obviously less power and heavier, and I don't believe it's got the technology of the Indian. But it might be time for me and Chris to come out here and spend a few days on a road trip doing a bit of a comparison test. But what a really impressive bike. I loved riding the race bike. I was so impressed with what Indian did with that, and I didn't think my expectations would be that high for this bike, but it's gone above what I thought it would be. The only problem you're going to have in the UK is the price, because it is a little bit expensive. You're looking at around £27,000, and when you start ticking some boxes, it'll easily go to 30. But when you look at it, it looks like a £30,000 bike. It feels like a £30,000 bike. There's a lot of metal, a lot of tech, and a lot that's gone into that bike, and the high level of finish is really impressive. So if you ever get the opportunity to ride something like that, please do. It is really surprising what cruiser bikes can do now. It's really surprising how well they handle stop and go and the technology that's involved. I've thoroughly enjoyed riding that bike. If you have the opportunity to ride any other bike tomorrow in this area, I'd choose that again. I think it's just been so much fun. Bikes are there to make you smile, whether that's to make you smile because you're riding off-road, or you're riding on a track, or you're riding a classic, whatever it is, bikes are there to be enjoyed and to make you happy. And that bike has done that. That has made me smile, and that has made me happy.